Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first episode of Black History Month. And it's a new series that's been created by our team. And our first episode is on Postmasters, James Moody and Fraser Baker, A Tale of Courage. So come on in. Actually, I'm going to go to my phone and I'm going to share it to some other places. And if you guys are joining us live, please go ahead in and share it as well. Let me just go ahead and share it. I know it's really exciting to be celebrating Black History Month, and it's the 100th year.
Absolutely. 100 years of Black History Month.
Wow. That is exciting, you know, and I mean, it's not 100 years of Black history, it's just 100 years of us celebrating Black history. Let me see if it comes up for me yet. Um, Let me see. Hold on one second. Almost there, guys. So can you talk about the history of Black History Month first for a minute?
Okay.
While I go ahead and try to share it.
We got some feedback. So, as far as the celebration of Black History Month actually started as a week of celebrating, and after that week of celebrating, it was passed for it to be, recognized each year in the month of February, of course. But we do give honor to that celebration of that one week. And so what happened is the father of Black history wanted the students, the young people, to understand and know what the history of their ancestors were. So from that week, we pursued on and we were able to establish it as an official national recognition.
Yes, and so here we are, 100 years separated from the very first, and it actually wasn't Black History Month.
Right.
It was Negro History Week.
Right.
And so one of the things that, we want to prepare you guys for as we do this series is there going to be some terms that we're going to have to use that are not meant to be offensive. It's just what was said at the time.
Right.
Right? And so, but yeah, it was actually Negro History Week. Mm-hmm. And we have some guests that are in the green room, and we're super excited about our guests in the green room. They're going to be talking to you about events that happen in Lake City.
Right.
Well, let's go ahead and start with Mullins. I want to introduce our moderator for today.
Hello, I'm Cynthia O. Ford, and I'm so excited about being a part of this series.
And our museum curator,
Rhonda Bain, and thank you for having me. Yes.
Absolutely. We're just so glad. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Rhonda. She's going to talk to us about the person in Mullins, our very first African American postmaster.
Yes. Our very first African American postmaster was Mr. James T. Moody. I am glad to say that we do not have a lot of information about him because it seems, unlike other communities in the PD, he had a very normal, uneventful, he actually had 2 terms, and I'm going to actually pull the dates. I've got the dates here. His first term started July 3rd of 1884, and he served until May of 1885. Then he left for a few years, and he actually came back.
So it was 2 years.
Well, it was 1 year at first, but then he came back in 1889 and served all the way to 1893. So there was like a gap in service, which also I actually have a list of all of our African American postmasters. That was a rarity too, to actually come back to the job. So other than that, we don't have a lot of information because it seems like there was really no problems. There was not a lot of newsworthy events while he was postmaster. And his role, standard is he was the postmaster, and it was actually a role after the Emancipation Proclamation, during Reconstruction, and even after. These were appointed positions, and they were appointed because this one would. It was actually showing people that African Americans could hold high levels of jobs. It broke the stereotype of inferiority and all of that. But it was actually appointed by the federal government. So it was appointed.
Which, if you think
Yes.
about that, the fact that, one, slavery ended in 1863,
Right.
and then, and then from 1863, I mean, some of us want to say that slavery really didn't end until 1865.
Right.
With the end of, Juneteenth, right? Juneteenth, but officially it was January 1st, 1863. So if you think about this is 1884. Somebody do the math real quick for me. How many years is that?
That would be 19 years.
19
or
years.
21 after 19 after Juneteenth, 21 after the official end of slavery.
Right.
Yes.
So 21 years after the official end of slavery. And so there's significance there's significance two ways, I think.
Mhm.
One is the fact that, because during slavery, enslaved Africans were not permitted to read nor write.
That's correct.
And here we have James Moody.
Who would have had to be able, that was one of the things, you had to be able to read or write. Sometimes the appointments were given to freedmen, and sometimes they were given to formerly enslaved, and I do not know which one he was. Like I said, his term was very uneventful, thank God.
Mhm.
But if you were literate, that was one of the things, but you fostered leadership in your community. You were one of the few positions in Mullins in your community that you would actually reach every citizen. You would reach every household just by it being the mail.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And back in that time, Mullins was 70% 90%. It was 90% African American. So I find that to be quite intriguing that, here you have the very first African American postmaster. Obviously, he was literate and, serving this community.
Mhm.
Now, what about Reconstruction, Cynthia? Can you explain that?
Yes. With Reconstruction, and Rhonda, you did already hop on the significance as far as him being the postmaster, and you brought on a very important point about not being able to read and write. But transitioning during that time was just a tough period. It was a huge change because we just had the Civil War during that time. So just imagine you're in the middle of a war, and here you are trying to rebuild.
Right.
So it's just as it sounds, it was a period of trying to reconstruct and rebuild areas that were torn down. But that did not come easy because you still had the bickering back and forth between the North and the South in the midst of trying to rebuild. And then you also had the African Americans who were trying to establish their rights and begin to understand and know where they belonged in the United States or in this area. So Reconstruction was a period of rebuilding after the Civil War.
And we could go for days and just talk about Reconstruction and kind of what happened with African Americans and the flood of us leaving the South and going to the North, because now formerly enslaved Africans were free to travel anywhere they wanted, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
So, so it's interesting when you think of what Postmaster James Moody had to deal with, in his new role.
Right.
And it was a leadership role,
That's correct.
and he was right here.
I was going to actually, it was actually considered one of the most widely visible roles in the community after, during Reconstruction and even after.
Yeah.
So yes, they were very visible, prominent, but yet a visible target.
And when we think about, it wasn't that way for everybody, right? So in Mullins, we had, James Moody, who was able to fill a term, leave it and come back and do it again, but it wasn't that way for everybody. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to bring in our guests, right?
Absolutely. We want to bring in our guests. This is actually the perfect time. So we want to bring in Ms. Paula Morris, who is a native of Lake City, South Carolina, the mother of 4 children. She has 12 grandchildren and 19 great-grands and 1 great-great-grand. She is the senior pastor of Ministries on the Move for Christ for 13 years, the school board trustee for Florence District 3 for 23 years, vice chair of the Dr. Ronald McNair Committee, president and founder of the community group And one of her beliefs is it's not about the color of the skin, but about the heart within. And we also have, along with Ms. Paula Morris, Mayor Yamika Robinson, and we're grateful to have both of you to join us to the stage now.
Yes, and I see them popping in now.
Good evening.
Awesome. Welcome, welcome. We're so excited you guys are able to join us today.
Thank you.
So you've heard us talk about Mr. James Moody and and from what we know, because there's not a whole lot of history. Our museum curator, she spends a lot of time digging into Mullins history, and there's not a whole lot of history for us. But you guys have, by you guys, I mean in Lake City, there's been quite a bit of information about your postmaster. Can you tell me who was your first African American postmaster, and how did he become the postmaster? Do you know?
Our first African American postmaster was Frazier Baker, who was there in 1897 and in Lake City, here in Lake City. And what was the other thing you said about him?
And then, so was he appointed? Because was he appointed to that office?
All I can tell you that he was hired for the office to be our postmaster. I don't know exactly, um how he got hired. I don't know, I don't know the logistics of that, but I know that he was hired for our first black postmaster here in Lake City. Yes.
Okay. And it's our understanding that Mr. Baker, Postmaster Baker, he didn't have a. It was a difficult time for him.
Yes, it was. The history let me tell you, I didn't know. I was born and raised in Lake City, and it wasn't until 1998 or 99 when I went to Francis Marion, and Dr. King, our history instructor, who I think he taught us Black history more than just history of South Carolina. And that's when I learned about Frazier Baker. I didn't know anything about, we had a Black postmaster that was Lynch here in Lake City. So, and that's when I learned about him. And from that, was doing more research about Dr. Baker as much, Frazier Baker as much, not Dr. Baker, but Frazier Baker as much I could find out about him here in Lake City. And it is so ironic where he was living was right in where the house that he was living in, and I'm thinking that the post office was there. The post office was there too. I'm not sure, but it's right in the community where I was raised up at, and I didn't know that until they put did erect a marker there in 2000 and help me out, Mayor. Was that 2013 when they did the marker?
I think it was around
Put a
2013,
memorial of him.
the historical marker. Yes, ma'am.
You can't hear me. You can't hear me. Well, anyhow, can y'all hear me? I don't see anybody on the screen. But so to go on about Dr. Frazier Baker, the fact that, like I said, that he was hired in 1897. 1898 is when 11 white men decide to go to where he was living at to basically do what they did. They set the house afire. They shot him and killed him and his baby daughter Julia, and then they wounded his wife and three of the other five children. He had three of the other five children. They wounded them, and from that, when the incident happened that night, and I don't know when, but the family was commuted to Charleston. Mother and the children that was alive, they took them to Charleston, and I guess that was for their safety.
Miss Paula, can you
Can
hear
you hear
me?
me? You can hear me? Okay. Do,
All right, we're
do you have
back.
another
Sorry about
question?
that. Sorry about that. We had an internet snafu
Can't.
here. Go figures. We've had technical issues all morning, right? All
We can't.
afternoon.
I can't hear. the host.
Oh, can you hear us now?
Host, wave if you can hear me. I can't hear you guys.
Can you,
Or you
can
can hear me?
you, we can hear
Okay.
you.
So is there another question?
Yeah,
I
can you hear us now?
I don't think she can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
I can't
Yes,
hear
we
you
can.
guys. If
Yes,
you
we
were
can,
talking, I can't
Mayor.
hear you.
Okay. I don't think Miss Paula can hear anyone now. But
Oh,
she was continuing on. It was live. She was continuing on with the story. So you that'll still be on there because I know we're still live. So I can continue on a little bit more from here.
yes, please. So one of the questions that we had was, we was hearing when we came on that she was talking.
Mayor, you're on mute now.
It's off mute. We're off mute now. I know, right? Oh my goodness. All right, now we're all back together. Are
I
we all back
feel
together? Can
I'm
you hear us
sorry.
before?
I can't. I went out and came back and come back in again, but I cannot hear you guys at all.
Oh.
I'll continue on.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry you can't hear us. We had this technical issue earlier today. They will be getting a bad review. um, so, question for you though. She talked about the lynching, right? We heard her talk about the lynching of Fraser Baker. Did she say like how long was he in office before they lynched him?
So I believe she was stating that he was appointed in 1897, and he was actually appointed under the McKinley administration,
Mm-hmm.
and and it was 1898 is when that mob, the white mob, came and burned his house and shot shot at him and his family, and unfortunately, he died from that. Um, Shot, and his daughter, baby girl Julia, did as well. The rest of his family was wounded.
Wow. And the house was set on fire, right?
Yes, the house was set on fire, and pretty much in history, this pretty much came from that. He was very successful. He was the first African American postmaster of Lake City. He was doing his job. He was very successful, and they just did not like that. And just because he was a black man and he was doing his job, um, I learned more and more year after year about this. Because I actually learned this year from Miss Ida B. Wells, who was from another state. I think Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but she was a very prominent journalist, an African American woman, and she, after the lynching of Fraser Baker, she began to write more and more and speak out more and more about lynching. And she was talking a lot about how this lynching was not, justified for any of the reasons that they were going out there to state, but it was about how successful these black men or women were in their professions, and they just was not liked because of that. So she really truly advocated for Fraser Baker and others of lynching, and really needed it. And she was trying her best to see justice for it.
So in Lake City, it's my understanding that you guys commemorate his lynching and the lynching of his family every year. Is that true?
Yes,
How do you do that in Lake City, and when is that you do that commemoration?
we do it on his on his lynch's date, and it's according to what day of the week it falls on, but we do it on his lynch's date, which it'll be February the 22nd. We'll do it this year at 1 o'clock at the marker that we have a community gathering, invite people to come, and we have a speaker that will speak about 10 minutes about Fraser Baker. We will have singing and just celebration, and mainly too, we want our young people to not only learn about Fraser Baker, but about our Black history. Learn more about Black history, who some of our forefathers was, who made a difference for them to achieve today. Um, and then also um, the community group that Mayor and myself is a part of. We're the one that do the memorial every year, and our community group our vision is to bridge the gap through racism, socialism, and denomination here in Lake City, South Carolina. And this is why too we want to do the memorial here in Lake City. And also to he have a I don't know whether, because I couldn't hear y'all, I don't know whether the mayor touch on this about his niece Faustina Baker, Dr. Faustina Baker, who came to Lake City around about 2004. This is her home. Her home is
Mhm.
from here in right here at Effingham is where her home is from, but she's deceased now. But she wrote a book about Dr. Baker, and she did the research here in Lake City about Dr. Baker. I'm sorry, not Dr. Baker, Fraser Baker. I don't know why I don't want to call him Dr. Baker, but she did extensive research here, even with she interviewed like people in the community, even students in the school, even though, they had to do the research about him. So we thank Dr. Baker for doing that, um, writing that book and doing the research here in Lake City. But what hurts me, if I can say this, is that um, to know that you have 11 white men that had so much of hatred in their heart that they didn't want a black postmaster, that it result to violence where they didn't care whether they killed the whole family, because it seems like that what it was trying to do. And where a baby lost her life, and Fraser Baker lost his life, and then um, three of the children got wounded, and the wife, because of hatred, because of having hate in their heart, because of the color of the skin. And so, and right here in Lake City, South Carolina, and we know that this has happened all over the US of A. But to me, as I say, this is why I try so hard here in Lake City, and the mayor know this, is that unity. We've been doing the MLK March for over 30 years, but each year it's about unity. And so my prayer is that I pray that, as we talk about Fraser Baker, and the only thing he did was made a difference. And because he made a difference, you had people of another color of skin did not want him to do that and took his life. So my prayer is that um, one day, as Dr. Martin Luther King speech will go, that one day that we won't have this hatred in our heart, but we can see everyone as children of God, and love one another there. So that's my thought on Fraser Baker. The little bit that I know about him is and I know that he was an educator. He in the Wimberg County. He was a teacher. Um,
Wow.
um, yeah, because he was from Wimberg County, and so he was a teacher too. Hmm.
A question: do you know if was there a trial? Was there the outcome of the 11 people who were they charged with the murders?
They went to trial, and they even had people who white people who witness um and told the truth about what the 11 men did. But what happened, they had the trial in Wimberg County, but it was a hung jury. And because it was a hung jury, then those men, they walked. And the information that I got from through Francis Marion is information I got is that because we are in Lake City, it was a close knit town, and those men that did the violent act against Fraser Baker and his family, um, some of them was friend with the people here, the white friends. Some was family members, and so nobody wanted to. How can I say? Nobody wanted to tell on them, but somebody did come forth and did tell who did it. But no, they walked. They didn't.
Okay.
They
Well,
did
thank
not
you
get
so much.
punished for it.
And Mayor
Yes.
Robinson, one, we thank you both so much for coming and participating on our podcast, and apologize for the technical difficulties. When, so you said on the 22nd, when is the commemoration this year and where and what time?
It's on the 22nd, February the 22nd at 1 o'clock at the marker on Church Street in Lake City. Um, a marker I can give you for that is Wesley United Methodist Church is on the corner of Deep River and Church Street, and we'll be right across in the field where the house was. And we hope that you guys can come and participate.
We will definitely share it. We will definitely share it. We thank you all so much for participating, and sharing Fraser Baker's story and little Julia. So we appreciate that.
If I can add something to
Yes,
that.
please.
Okay, so also Miss Paula Morris was talking about Dr. Faustinia Baker, who is his niece. Dr. Faustinia Baker, I met her around 2019, and in 2019 we actually had Congressman James Clyburn and a few of our state or House representatives and Senate from the state house to come down, and it was actually our post office here was renamed after Fraser Baker. So you won't actually see the name on the physical building, but when you come to Lake City, so please come visit Lake City. You will actually see a picture, a portrait of his family inside of the post office. But it did go through the state house to officially rename the post office, Fraser Baker Post Office in Lake City.
Well, definitely next time I'm in Lake City, I'm going to stop in and check that out.
Yes, yes. And her book is on Amazon. Dr. Faustinia Baker's book is on Amazon and it's called The Black Postmaster in a White Town, The Lynching of Fraser Baker and His Daughter. And it was, I think, published in 2023. So you can get it on Amazon.
And we will definitely share that online. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mayor. All right.
Bye.
So, there were some amazing guests, weren't
Right,
they?
they were.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness. I mean, that story is just so touching about, um, how it was tragedy, but how the community came together, right? And how they continue to come together to really appreciate his sacrifice, and
Yes.
and then the family is still doing what they're doing. I found interesting how she said he was an educator,
Right,
because we don't have information on James Moody
we do not.
to know what he did. So that's pretty interesting, and it makes sense for, guys. We kind of sit around and talk about what we think, but that makes a lot of sense.
It does. And just, I know this is off script, but I actually found in doing some of the research on Mr. Baker, there's actually a couple, I wouldn't say Mullins ties, but there's a couple things that happened in the aftermath that we would be very familiar with. One, when I was going through, after this happened, the family that was still alive, of course not, they were actually taken to Charleston, and I got to do it because every time I do money, I get it wrong. On May the 2nd, 1898, after the lynching, a mass meeting was held at Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston,
Wow.
and they passed a resolution condemning the attack and raised, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but they raised $16 for the family, which would be almost $500 now, because they literally had nothing. Their livelihood and everything had been
And their
taken
house
away.
had been burned down.
Yes. And then the second thing, I look for this all day, and you know how it is when you mark something and you can't find it until the last minute. So I found it on my phone. But we talk about how things were and a lot of people's preconceived notions. But our congressman at that time was Mr. Norton, who was one of our former mayors, James Norton. He was our congressman at that time, and he actually went on the record condemning the actions in Lake City and saying that Mullins did not have problems like that, that we cared more about competent and friendly service than we did about the color of the skin of our postmaster. And now, and I'm going to say all the words in that article were not great. He did say stuff like, but he basically said in Mullins, we just want competent service and I think he said a polite attention. So we did have someone come on the record from here. He said, in my hometown, this is how we feel. So it was Mr. James Norton from Mullins who did come on the record, because several people did come on the record after the lynching. So we do have some minor ties between the two cities.
And that, I mean, as we sit and we learn more and more about history, especially this month during Black History Month, it some of it can cut, right? When you hear words like Negro and lynching, and you hear about a 3-year-old that was killed and the fire and him being shot in the head, all of that is gut wrenching. However, we got to understand our history.
Right.
We got to understand our history. We need to understand what sets Mullins aside. And one of the things that I am very, very proud of here in the city of Mullins is our South Carolina Tobacco Museum. And at the South Carolina Tobacco Museum, I encourage everyone to go to the museum, to bring your children, to learn about our history. And, and the way the Tobacco Museum is, it's actually set up, it takes you back in time.
It does.
It really takes you back in time. And I encourage, what are our hours?
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 to 4. And then on Wednesdays, we do close at 12.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we invite you to come on down to the South Carolina Tobacco Museum to learn more about Mullins and our background in tobacco. And I just want to take a moment to thank Mr. James Moody for his service, right? I know he's not here to see it, but if you happen to be a family member of Mr. James Moody, because we have very limited information, we would love to be able to have some more information in our museum. Please feel free to reach out to us at City Hall. We want to hear the real stories of the real people that made the city of Mullins what the city of Mullins is today. And we're about to sign off. I want to let you know our next episode was today, Thursday. Our next episode will be Tuesday. And on that episode, it will be James McBride, the first African American police officer. So again, if you have information on Mr. James McBride that you can get to us before Tuesday, we would love to know that information as well. Anything else?
Thank you for joining us today. Again, as you said, if there's any additional information that you want to share that we may not have, please send that to who?
To City Hall.
Okay, City Hall.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rhonda.
Thank you.
Have a good day, everybody.